don't always hear asked, and those are words that don't always end up in the same sentence, you know, and so that, I would imagine that would be uncomfortable for some people in some settings. And yet music is this really cool thing. Like, I guess I was talking about it earlier, but just how, because Noah has a guitar, he can kind of get away with some things, you know. He's allowed to ask some questions, he's allowed to make some statements, because it's in a song, you know. And I think if you had the chance to sit down with him and just say, hey, where do your songs come from? Like, what are they about? How are they born? My guess is he would tell you that a lot of them come from painful places, and a lot of them come from things that he doesn't really know what to do with, and some of his questions, and maybe some of his friends' questions. And I think it's so cool that he gets to do this job, or he has this outlet or this gift where he gets to kind of create from that place. And yet for most of us, I think we have that stuff, right? Like, we have our pain, we have our questions, we have the places we feel stuck, but we don't always know, like, if we're actually allowed to go there, like if we're actually allowed to talk about it. This wasn't a plan, but I sat down and this card was on the seat in front of me, and it says, I don't feel welcome in the SLP dining room, so I eat in the bathroom. It says, I don't feel welcome in the SLP dining room, so I eat in the bathroom. And so that's a real person. That's a person that might be in the room. That's a person that you guys walk around with, that you guys do life with. And so that's a person who walks into the dining room feeling that way, and they probably don't feel like they can say that there, right? That would be weird, that would be uncomfortable. People might laugh, people might, it would just be awkward. And yet they have that feeling, like that's going on inside of them. And so where does that get to come out? Like, can you bring it to school? Can you bring it to work? Can you bring it to church? Can you be honest with your friends? Do you have any friends that you can be that real with, you know? And I might have said this last time I was here, but I guess one thing we want to say kind of from the beginning is that maybe like Noah's songs or Noah's set, that tonight and a lot of the work that we do and the conversation that we're trying to have, a lot of it is maybe more about the questions than the answers. We believe in answers. We've learned a lot in the last few years. We'll talk a little bit about that tonight. We believe in professionals. We believe there's wisdom. We believe in medicine, and we love to point people to these places and to these things. But maybe what a lot of us need and what a lot of us are looking for is other people who will meet us in our questions and tell us that they matter, and tell us that we're not alone in those places, and tell us that our lives are worth fighting for, tell us that it's worth fighting through those painful seasons, those really difficult questions, or the things that we get stuck in. And I took a little bit of time off this summer, and I ended up taking a road trip. I got a call from a friend of mine who's a really gifted photographer. His name is Jeremy Coward. And Jeremy was moving his family from Nashville to LA. And he called me and he said he wanted to turn the move into a photo shoot. But he didn't want the photo shoot to be shallow, because I think probably some photo shoots are shallow. And so he wondered if we could make it about something, like if we could give it some purpose. And he was also looking for people to drive his family's cars, so he had an agenda as well. But a few of us ended up driving a moving truck and his 2 cars from Nashville to LA. And in the midst of the summer, we were launching this new campaign called Fears versus Dreams. And it was just rooted in these 2 questions. It was rooted in what's your biggest fear and what's your greatest dream. And we actually started it on the Warped Tour. We asked people these questions, and they would write down their answers and leave them at our table. And it was cool as the day went by to see the table fill up with answers, kind of like this, the cards that you guys walked in and read. And I think not only for people to share part of their story, but maybe to relate and to feel less alone in reading each other's answers. And then we saw it start to happen on Twitter, and then I had this idea, maybe we could do it on the road, and maybe Jeremy could take portraits or photos of people holding up their answers. And so we did that. We hit the road with these two questions, and we stopped at diners and